What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're back over in Mabank, Texas, and we're just about wrapping up with our wood framing. The guys have got a little bit more zip system details that they're kind of working on, but I wanted to kind of do a walkthrough on this build, show you guys a little bit about how it's turning out and what we have going now. So you have definitely something you can see that's materialized up under this large canopy. You guys might remember about a week or so ago, I came out here and showed you what this looks like. Just the bare steel, which is a very large area, about 5,000 square feet to be exact, under roof. We got a mixture of living square footage mixed with our shop area and a lot of wraparound covered porch area on this build. And you can see how our wood framing stops somewhere over here in this area, and it converts back to our typical steel framing method. So definitely something that you guys are going to see. We're going to walk through it on this one. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get it going. You might remember how I laid this out for you and explained how we were going to be able to install the zip system without interfering with these porches. So that we had this specifically done, which would allow us to have this complete air barrier go behind the porches. That takes a little bit of intention to do that. Actually, it takes a lot of intention and also skill, because our guys definitely from the very beginning worked to minimize the attachment point there. You can see we've got a kind of a vertical flange piece that comes out so that we could attach that receiver channel. And then I showed you guys previously these columns, these vertical columns that I had here on this build, and how you can see now that that has all been passed with the zip system. So the zip comes past those steel columns and gives us a nice weather resistant barrier, preventing the concern of conduction, condensation, all the kind of stuff that can happen there with the reaction of the bare steel. So as we come around, again, one large porch area, and you can see how our zip system continues up and past. And I do like what our sheet metal guys did. They actually put a bend on the end of these roof panels just to create a little more protection there, as you can imagine. Now we'll have closure strips that come down with the flashing, but when it comes to driving wind and rain, there will be a little bit more protection right there at the back to kind of create a dam at that point. So I think that's a really nice detail that we're seeing the guys did all the way around on this build. Another great advantage to having a wraparound porch like this is providing all this extra protection around your windows and your doorways, to where you're going to have less concern about water intrusion coming in. But you can see, nevertheless, we've still got all the zip system here. Is not only an air barrier, but it's a water resistive and air barrier protection, giving us a complete building enclosure. And you guys know how we do it, but this is our standard hybrid steel frame. Now we do go steps beyond that, where we work to get this zip system up and over the roof, which we've talked about quite a bit on this channel, but I'll share a little bit more maybe with you guys here in a bit. The guys are moving right along here, so let's go inside. there will be a large 8-foot double door right here off the offset coming inside. A very large master suite, I believe, back here on this area, which is a big room. And your living room here with the full fireplace right here as you come in. Going to be a nice focal point at the entryway, and that goes up pretty high. This is what that volume gives us in this area. We've got some floor plugs in here, and you can see we'll have some natural light. They haven't cut that in yet. The guys are working, but these windows will be cut in on either side. And you can see the amount of attic area that we'll have up above there over those bedrooms here on that side. So this will be our kitchen space. There'll probably be an island right here, but the sink is going over here. So mainly just a little bit of electrical in there. And we'll have probably cabinets here to either side. It'll open up. I'm not sure, I don't remember right off like what this cubby space is. I want to say maybe another cabinet with some upper storage that's going to go right here. Kind of an inset. This will flow back over here. We'll have washer and dryer, laundry area, mudroom. It'll step back here off this porch. And this will flow back into this area right off of this mudroom laundry area. You can see this will be a large closet here, and this will also flow back into the master bathroom. We'll have 2 sink vanities here with a full walk-in shower, private toilet area. We've got large, I believe these are 10-foot ceiling heights here, maybe higher. I think it's 10. And this large master bedroom right here. It is a little bit noisy, so I'm going to try to keep that in mind as we're going around here. Again, right off the kitchen, we've got the corner pantry going in here. A lot of times we will frame these all the way up, but you can see they've got the natural light that they'll have on these sides. And then we've got a couple of bedrooms here off of either side. Very good sized bedrooms. You can see how our steel is interwoven here with the wood, and our caliber shots that go up all through here. These are attached. A lot of people always want to know, how do you attach steel? Well, this is how it's driven in with these caliber shots all the way up and all the way up across at the I-beam, all the way that way. So our steel runs over, drops back down over here, and you see more caliber shots all right up in here. So this 2x6 is attached on both sides, and then these vertical studs continue just as your typical wall does. And it's also important that we're attaching very well at the base too. So we do like to come in here and add anchors, concrete anchors, typical concrete anchors. I don't like to do the J hooks when we pour the concrete, just because they always inevitably are getting broke off, and it becomes more of a trip hazard as you're getting started, and it just doesn't work that well for us. So we like to come in and add these after the fact. But moving up, you can see our steel framing up there and how that's tied in. It just so happened that this steel column ties in where this wall was going to tie in. I'm sure that we planned it that way. So this is something that Brandon used, that dimension line to set his steel. Why did he do that? Because in this space, you don't have to worry about an I-beam that's going to stick down in the middle or offset of this room. So we hit that vertical column and that I-beam with that wall, which makes this all open from being intercepted with another column like that over here, or an I-beam structural spanning beam, you can see I've got another one in this area right here. So this is our full height. You got the sleeper studs that run across. We are also flattening off the ceiling up there to create interstitial area for our ductwork to pass over for our HVAC. That kind of shows you the way that the passage will work and provide some communication from this attic area to this attic area. Lastly, I'll say we've got this bathroom right here off of this corridor from the main living area. And we'll have probably a shower tub combo with a vanity and the private toilet back over here on this side. So maintaining all the ceiling heights. And you can see we've got some structural steel here as well. And you wouldn't see it from the other side because the zip system actually covers all of our steel. That's just a nice way to do it, to where this steel never is impacted by what's going on outside. So we have a complete thermal protection back there. I mean, it's not insulation. That would be a step further to do like an exterior insulation, but this is preventing condensation concerns with this steel. As we head back down this corridor, this leads to the shop. You can see we've got one of our main valves for water is right here. This is where the main supply will come in. Also, we'll have the septic system somewhere out here in this vicinity off the back. And we'll have another, more than likely another sink will go right here in this spot. There's a couple things that we commonly do in these areas. One is the zip system that completely covers from one side of to the other. It completely wraps around all of our living areas. That's pretty consistent with what we normally do. But when we have an attic area that's getting stairs built, this is a common repeated technique right here. You can see we like to get this zip wall behind the stairs before this is built so that we can maintain that air barrier, and that goes all the way up. And then Saul's adding the zip system here on the outside, and you can see the continuance here with the pony wall there. This is going to make this really sturdy, and he's also allowing a gap here if this needed to be covered with a special siding like R panel or sheetrock, whatever can come down here along the sides. And so this is a large airtight wall that we will be sealing up here. And Saul just finished cutting in this door, so I'll show you a little bit of this. This is the amount of space we have right here in this landing area. I know a minute ago I was talking about how all of our metal is encompassed in the zip system. So you may ask me, well, what about all that steel up there, Josh? What are you going to do about that? This is why the closed cell foam is pretty much crucial at this stage of the game for this level of hybrid barndominium. We will have closed cell that completely covers all of what we do out there. But the metal inside here will also be closed cell foam. All of this will get closed cell, all of the purlins, complete coverage of all this, primarily to eliminate any concerns of condensation or conduction. I'm like a broken record telling you guys about this. Now, what would be the next step up would be to go to what we call our advanced hybrid steel frame, where we take and we add the sleeper studs that you see across in those living areas across the bottom. We run that across the top of these purlins, and then we would put the zip system all across the roof. Now, where would that get a little complicated? Well, on a build like this where you got the joining of your roof lines with the shop and the living areas, it might mean that you would want to zip everything, including over the shop areas. So that does add quite a bit of expense. So keep that in mind. Similarly to like what we're doing on our sports barndominium, which you guys have seen us do, that project and our black gold project, the differences in those two is one is more of a gymnasium area, the other one is more all living. So not too hard to justify doing that on an all living area, but where you have like a basketball court, it would probably be harder to justify it for a shop area like this. But meanwhile, the standard hybrid steel frame methods that we use here are a very good option. And we feel very confident that we can completely rid ourselves of any concern of condensation or conduction in these areas with the closed cell foam. Okay, to complete my thought about what I'm saying here, the roof now becomes part of our thermal protection here because the insulation is now attached pretty well permanently to the roof. All that to say this, when that is the case, a lot of people kind of freak out. They're like, well, what are you gonna do if you get a hailstorm or something like that? Well, in the event of something that's relatively minor, and I say minor because you're just talking about some indentations, you could overlay this roof. There's a product called flue filler where you could actually add a little bit more insulation there, run a little bit of a furring strip, like say a 1x. You could put a standing seam right over top of this if you wanted to. So the money that it would take to replace this roof definitely would be cheaper to not have to replace all your insulation and to do like a standing seam, which would be essentially an upgrade and maybe a better decision in the long run. You would just count this as your deck, your substrate. It won't be rotted out. It's just going to be there, ready for the next step, whatever you're wanting to do. So keep that in mind. It's not something to really freak out over because you're putting spray foam under the roof. I see these emotions getting shared all the time on social media, so I wanted to share that a little bit with you. Now, of course, under your porch areas, if all that gets damaged, maybe you want to go ahead and pull that off and replace it. Now, where does that change? On our advanced framing, and we have the zip system that goes up over the roof, now you could swap a roof out. You could put a different type of roof. You could put shingle roof. You could put anything you want, pretty much. Standing seam, that could be changed out at any time. So some people want that luxury. But if you're going with this, you are going to save some money on the front end because you're not having to put the substrate and all the other things. And we do believe that it works really well. Like, I've had my structure, my building for over 10 years myself, and I believe we're going into the 11th year and never had any problems with it. Also, my dad used to have a barndominium. He never even had to change his screws on his roof, and he kept the same roof for over 15 years. So I will say this too, if you spray foam underneath the bare metal like this, make sure you're using a 26 gauge metal panel and make sure you have enough screws, because I do see a lot of horror stories, especially like on the walls. And there's people who come in and spray foam, and the spray foam will actually push out like a 29 gauge steel if you're spraying direct to that. So make sure you're using a thicker gauge steel roof like what we're using here, and you shouldn't see any problems. If you are attaching to the purlins, I recommend using like a 2 3/4 coated tech screw. It's like a gray self-tapper. Those are really good, and I put 2 per junction. That's what we like to do. So hopefully that little advice helps you guys along the way. Let us know what you guys think about the progress on this build. There's a whole lot more to come. This is a really cool project. Some of you guys spent a lot of effort guessing on what this project was inspired by. And although it's a little bit different, there's a lot of things that are going to be pretty similar. And one lucky gentleman guessed it and won a free hat last week. So appreciate you participating along. We got a lot more to come on this build. Appreciate you guys being here for the journey. A lot more updates to come as well on the Mabank Barndominium. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Josh Helm, wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching. Texas Best.